If you love movies and movie discussions, you've come to the right place. Who might you ask? I am the Wiz, and I'm here to review the 1987 romantic comedy Moonstruck, starring Cher, Olympia Dukakis, Danny Aiello, and Nicolas Cage, directed by Norman Jewison. Let's get into the review of Moonstruck, directed by Norman Jewison. Before that, let's get to the plot. No sooner does Italian-American widow Loretta, played by Cher, accept a marriage proposal from her boyfriend Johnny, played by Danny Aiello, then she finds herself falling for her younger brother Ronny, played by Nicolas Cage. She tries to resist, but Ronny lost his hand in an accident he blames on his brother, and has no scruples about aggressively pursuing her while Johnny is out of the country. As she falls deeper in love, she comes to learn that she's not the only one in the family with a secret romance. I want to say first off, right off the bat, that this is simply just a charming movie with great performances. And I mean the entire cast, but I do have to point out Cher, Danny Aiello, and Olympia Dukakis. I think Cher and Dukakis won Oscars for their roles in this movie. And it's actually kind of easy to see why. They are just an absolute charm factory in this movie. They're not only funny, but they're people that you want to watch. And they're really well-written characters as well. And they perform them incredibly well. With romantic comedies of any stripe, it really does seem to feel like a big part of what makes them work is if you find the actors who are playing the characters charming. And this film just has it in spades. It is an absolute charm fest in this movie. Well, that being said, while it is a romantic comedy, I think its strength is more in its comedy than in its romance. There are some hilarious scenes. And in hilarious, it's like cute hilarious. Again, I'm going to say charming throughout this entire review, but it is. It is an incredibly charming film. I think easily the side characters are the funniest parts of the movie, and they're the best characters too. We're talking about Loretta's father and mother. I would say even Johnny is pretty funny, played by Danny Aiello. Just the way that these characters act, they're very broad, they're not very deep, but they are just charming and hilarious. I don't think there is one character in this film that I didn't find funny or charming or that I did not like. I think that all the characters are really good in this. That being said, though the romance between Loretta and Ronny is good, I think it's the one plot line that I like the least. I'm not even saying it's bad, but I will say that of any of the plot lines that were going on throughout the film, it was the one that I was, I guess, least invested in. There are some funny parts to it, but the actual romantic parts of the film, when it came to Ronny and Loretta, it just didn't hit in a way that got me invested. It was still funny, and it was still charming in the way that it was, but the romance isn't strong enough where I am not only laughing, I'm also tearing up, going, oh, that's so sweet, or something like that. But then again, this is not that type of movie. It's meant to be more funny than romantic, and I think in that, it really succeeds in making it funny. I just think the romance parts are not as good as the comedy. Still good, but not as good. So here are the footnotes for Moonstruck, and I got one footnote. Could we have subtitles for all the Italian? Like, there's a couple of characters in this movie that just speak Italian. I think the one main one is the grandfather of Loretta, and you could tell he was saying something funny or whatever, and I'm like, I want to know what he's saying. But like other characters also say Italian, like in greeting, like ciao bella, stuff like that. I think I know what that means, but I would have liked to see some subtitles in the movie so I can be like, oh, that's what they're saying. Okay, so I kind of missed that. Not a big deal, but yeah. So overall, I'm going to recommend Moonstruck. I think it's an incredibly charming film. I think it's hilarious. The performances by Cher, Olympia Dukakis, Danny Aiello. I think the entire cast is really good in this movie. I think this is probably one of the better casts I've seen in a romantic comedy. But I will say that for a romantic comedy, I was less invested in the romance. And that, I think, is what's going to prevent it from being a highly recommended to a recommended. But I still greatly enjoyed my time watching this. If you have not seen this film, I would say definitely give this a shot. It's cute, and it is very charming and funny. So overall, I recommend Moonstruck. It is on Tubi right now for free, so if you want to see that with ads, go right ahead. And if you want to get it on disc, it's on the Criterion channel. Get it when it's 50% off. Now, if you want my full review on this movie, you can go to my website at IamTheWiz.com. You'll have my full written review right on the site, along with a link to the video that has this review that you've just listened to. Thank you for listening to this review. If you want to know what we're reviewing in the next couple days, you can look on the screen right now to see what's coming up next. If you like what you heard, go ahead and leave a like on this video. If you want to discuss your opinion on the film or the review itself, please leave a comment. And if you want to hear more, subscribe to the channel. Thank you again for listening. I will talk to you next time.